Hey everyone, how's everybody doing today? Welcome to my Thursday live stream where we talk about photography, and I'm open to questions, Q&A about photography or Olympus cameras in general. I'm always happy to help when I can, and that's partially why I do these, but I also like the community aspect of it, connecting with my friends here virtually through YouTube and the World Wide Web, right? Um, and it's a chance for us to uh, talk about photography with other like-minded people and share opinions about what's going on, maybe things that are new, things that are old, um, because I've been talking the last couple of streams about my sort of like I've hit this plateau in my photography. So I've been watching a lot of videos on other photographers or ideas to be more creative, to come up with some new ideas, or to uh, you know, get that enthusiasm back, right? And honestly, I don't feel like the enthusiasm is for me is the problem, because when I go out and I take my camera out, I'm always having a good time. I look forward to taking my camera with me everywhere, and any opportunity I can get to take pictures, I do. My frustration is really in that I feel like the images I'm creating have sort of hit their plateau, meaning I'm not making anything better now than I was, say, 6 years ago. I could even go back as 10 years, possibly. It's, you kind of, when you start out in photography as a beginner, once you kind of get over the hurdle of the basics of photography, aperture, shutter speed, ISO, focal length, sort of the basic mechanics of doing photography. Uh, I think you can pretty quickly advance to start to see the kind of images you want to make and the kind of images you enjoy taking, and really start taking really good pictures very quickly. So there's this sharp, steep climb to a certain level. Some of us, and I get it, that first hurdle of just understanding your gear and the fundamentals of photography can be a pretty big hurdle for some. So that's why a lot of my videos are about specifically how to use the gear. And then I also have a beginner series on exposure and, the different controls and the fundamentals of photography. And so I get a lot of good feedback on that, and that's appreciated as always, because I really want people to kind of get over that part. Because once you get that down, once you get a feel for exposure and getting the exposure that you want, it's just a matter of, from there, composition or style, things that differentiate your photography from everyone else, right? And doing photography that you enjoy. So, oh, where's my picture? Hold on. I've been having trouble with my power supply here. Okay. Hopefully that stays on this time. I might have to get a new. I pinched the wire when I was mounting the camera last week because I took it off to do something else anyway. So I think I may have, damaged the wire somehow to the camera. I use an external power source. Now I can't even remember what I was talking about. Uh, Something to do with photography. So let's see who's here while I'm here, and maybe it'll come back to me. John Follows, good to see you. It's still hot over there, huh? Gonna go out with your macro, cool. And music sound gear, awesome. David Tellick, good to see you. God, I felt so bad. I was looking Conway right in the eyes, and I just didn't recognize him. I don't know why. I mean, I haven't seen him in about a month, but you'd think I'd remember seeing him instantly. It's just, I just can't believe it. Anyway, uh, Good to see you here, David and John Allen. Yeah, very hot in Manchester. And Seraphin says, OM5 really want to know if this is going to have the same profile as the EM5. I use it for my paid work and it gets ignored when I go do concerts with it. Give me what I want, OMDS. Okay. So you just want a small form factor OM1, right? Which is what the EM5 is supposed to be, is a small EM1. I mean, they say the EM5 is not being replaced by the OM5, but everything we've seen or heard, rumored so far, kind of indicates that, right? Uh, we'll have to wait and see. And then I need my glasses. If plateau is at a high level while you're still shooting good pics, shake it off by trying new methods. I'm not sure what you mean by new methods, because if you mean like trying new things like macro, I am trying new things like macro. I'm thinking about going into maybe experimenting with double exposure again. I've done that time to time, but it would be like a one-off for that particular photo walk. I haven't like made a conscious effort to go out every single time and do double exposures, but that kind of interests me. So if you're talking about methods or different types of photography, different genres, that's a different problem than, I think that's good for people that are kind of getting bored with what they're doing, right? And they want to explore other things they can do in photography. They're just not sure what direction. Uh, that makes more sense. My problem is I feel like I've just hit this plateau of where my images are not getting any better. So whether I'm taking a picture of a landscape or photo walk like in the city, wildlife, nature, whatever it is that I've tried, I feel like I've plateaued. Meaning, particularly my sort of my photo walk type photos. Like the last 3 days, I've gone out to Alexandria, different parts each day, and just snapped some shots, right? And I posted everything on Flickr and Instagram. Uh, and they were okay, right? I mean, they're not even close to being my favorite images or good images. They're just images of my photo walk, and I just share them um, just to have a record of. Mainly, I do it for myself a lot because I like to be able to look at my own pictures anywhere I am, right? Like, so I can just go to Flickr on my phone or Instagram, right? And look at my images again and give it some more thought about what could I do differently? What can I do better on the next one? And then I post all of the settings as well, if it's Instagram. And in Flickr, all the EXIF data is there anyway. So I post a lot of images. They're not particularly great. They're okay. Most of them are just snapshots. But I do it just so I can kind of really look at the scene. And I get these ideas when I look at photos I've taken before. Like, I'm seeing a theme here, particularly, right? Like Alexandria is really a beautiful little town or city, just 15 minutes from my house. But there's parts of it that look very dystopian. And I tried to capture some of that in my last photo walk. It was either yesterday or the day before. And I was thinking this might be a nice little project. Really try to capture sort of the more dystopian parts of the city that people don't see as much, or people see every day, but they don't look twice at it, right? And I was looking at one of my photos, like of this brand new luxury condos. And it's just interesting to me when I look at those things, why would they build such a thing, right? I mean, I don't like to say anything negative on my social media about the pictures I take because that stuff comes back to haunt you, right? Particularly in real estate photography, they might be a future client of mine. Who knows? I doubt it, but who knows, right? Uh, but I'm not really a glass and steel type person when it comes to architecture. I like the more, uh, you know, brick and stone, wood, that kind of architecture. And a lot of the buildings they're putting up are just glass and steel. So it doesn't appeal to me is the nice way I'll put it. And like 1,300 square feet or something is like $1.2 million plus another couple $1,000 a month in condo fees. I mean, so you're dropping like 9 grand a month to live in one of those condos. Like I said, 15 minutes from my house. But right around the corner from those condos are other condos that were built back in the 40s. So they're your typical all brick square buildings, right? Nothing fancy. But even those buildings are more appealing to me than the new ones they just put up with all the glass and steel. But those are selling for like $300,000 for 600 square feet. So about a half the cost, roughly, if you look at it per square foot. Um, Literally across the street from these new condos. And they're also doing some major development where a power plant used to be. So I took a picture of the power plant again in its current state. But they're going to tear that whole thing down and redevelop it. It'll probably be a bunch of Amazon warehouses or something right on the Potomac River. Um, so for me, these photo walks, I'm sort of documenting what's there now as it is now. And maybe at some point in the future, they'll be appreciated or have more value. If I mean, that's not the point of me taking these pictures, like to try to sell them later. But a lot of photographers do that, right? They have these archives of photos from 20, 30, 40 years ago. And now suddenly they have a certain amount of value to them, right? Because they capture how things used to be and how different things are now. And it'll be interesting to me, just for my personal portfolio, to see the changes. Uh, so my point being, overall point being, is that plateau, going out every day and taking pictures, or as often as I can, and documenting things, I feel like I'm not getting any better. Like there was some decent architecture, right? This brand new building, very fancy. It's supposed to be some sort of art district later. So they're building it up to be like a mecca for artists to come. In fact, the building is called the Muse, right? Which means basically inspiration. Uh, and I was very disappointed in the architecture and the build and the materials they used and the overall design for such a thing. I think the original torpedo factory is really where it needs to stay rather than trying to create another one. Um, but there was a lot. What I'm saying is there was a lot of opportunities there for me as a photographer to try to capture something interesting and different in a way that has never been done before or seen before. And it's going to take more than just one drive by or walk by the place to do it. But I was looking around and I was really struggling. Like, I just could not see anything that I could do. And I guarantee, you could take any other photographer that is creating those really great images all the time would see the same place in a very different way and get some very good images. So I'm looking at it and I'm like, there's got to be something here. How come I'm not seeing it? So I tried the angle shot, the triangles, working with the geometry. I did a couple of reflection shots, stuff that's sort of trope, like it's been done a million times. But uh, I just, I'm just frustrated, that I can't do it. Now, like I said, I enjoyed my time for photographing. There's no lack of enthusiasm, definitely not. But it's tough. It was tough for me. Uh, let's see, Bob O'Neill, good to see you. Dave Nelson and Brian Phillips. Tactical error with the cable. I know, right? Harold Graham, good to see you. Rob, I think you need to live in a safer area so you can go out and do more people photos and interact with people. Central Florida is extremely friendly for street. Yeah, I bet. What was interesting was, let me show you a couple of photos. I'm going to just pull up all the entire folder. I took about 130 some images over an hour, so like more than I needed because I was just all over the place. Um, try taking a picture of something you have an interest in: trains and cars, aircraft. Yeah, the action type shots. I enjoy birding. Like I said, it's just not about going out and enjoying things. It's really, like I said, I enjoy photography. It's just about how am I gonna get a more epic shot? I mean, trains and planes are a little bit, and cars, they're a little bit more inconsistent in terms of uh it's not like a building, right, that I can go to almost every day and look at it all the time, right? Angie Blankship here. Good afternoon. Hope you're doing well and better spirits regarding your photo capabilities. I thought your latest were really great. Oh, thank you. I'll show a couple here. I'm waiting for this to load. I got my PC in like battery saver mode so the fan doesn't kick up and distract everyone. So it's running a little slow, but let me see. I should be able to. Yeah, it's coming. How do I switch screens again for here? I have to get the right monitor. Yeah, this is the right one. Okay, let me just show the raws, and then okay. While that loads up, so 110 images, give or take. But look at this image, for example. This is a beautiful part. It's really dark, isn't it? It's I have to, let me just brighten it up. So this image here, right? No people. This is a big place. There's no people. It was virtually empty. I didn't run into more than a dozen people in an hour uh, out in the middle of the day. Like look at this shot. This should be a very busy office park. Nobody there. Totally empty, as you can see. Nobody on the stairways, nobody on the sidewalk, nobody on the benches. I mean, I just couldn't believe it. Uh, I mean, granted, it's the middle of the day, so everybody's at work, but still, it was just empty. Oh my God, this is so slow. Maybe I just need to put my computer on turbo mode. Let me just do that real quick. Even the turbo mode comes up slow. Here we go. All right, so if you hear fan noise, just ignore it. There's Ellie. Let me just scroll down. Oh, I hate dragging things down like this. Even in turbo mode, it's a little bit slow. Thomas Kell, good to see you. Jan, wow, Jan Garcia is here. Or Jan, I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Marco, good to see you. P&W rider. Wow. When I was in a slump, a friend that's highly regarded and accomplished told me I was relying too much on equipment and editing. He told me to just use an iPhone for a year. It was really hard. Yeah, that would be impossible for me. I could not do that. I've seen these machines, these 3D photos. I think David Tellett showed me a film version of that. That was really cool. But that's not what I'm going for, really, right? It's all about just getting images that I'm not bored with myself, right? I look at the images and I want to say, I created a really nice image. And at least for me, something I like. It doesn't have to be popular on. I mean, it's very common. Like I posted I don't know, a dozen images the last couple of days, and the ones that I really liked personally got no play on social media, right? They were just meh to a lot of people. But that, and I don't care about that, right? Uh, but um, like here's an image, right? Let's look at this one. I can just go to Flickr. That would be faster than editing. Well, anyway, so this picture here is it's a mess, right? I really like the colors. I took out my Fujifilm XT30 with the 35 millimeter f2, so it's a 50 equivalent, give or take. Because I haven't shot with this thing in a long time, and even then, hardly ever. But this is a typical shot that I take when I'm out on a photo walk. Just very generic, but lots of information, right? Lots of information in this picture. If you live in the area, you know exactly where this is. And you can see that there's construction going on because there's heavy equipment. And you can see that the river is kind of on a low tide. There's not much water here. Normally, this is all full with water. And it's just to me, and then you can see some bridges over here. But this is what I'm generally good at is capturing all the information in the scene. And that's it. Like, let's see. Oh, this is brutal. Look at this picture here. This is another one I posted. No people in that building. These two buildings look empty. I bet if I walked up to it, I'd be able to see people inside. But just on the surface, when I took this picture, it looks like it's empty. And there were hardly, any people on the sidewalks or walking around. And I get it. It was a hot day. Here's this architectural place, or the new luxury condos. 1.2 million. They start in the 800,000s if you want like a little box on the ground floor. But if you want to have any elevation and a couple of bedrooms, like a 2 bedroom, 2 bath is 1.2 million for this place. And it's just glass and steel. And the inside is nice, but again, it's very sterile. Very, like I said, sterile is the right word. I don't care for this kind of construction. All right, let's forget about this. This is taking too long. So, but anyway, I'm working on it, and I wrote down a lot of ideas that people sent me either in the comments or I talked to. Uh, so I made notes and everything. I'm I'm big on notes, actually, believe it or not. I didn't realize I was, but I've almost filled up this book, and I thought I'd never fill it up, but so I'm gonna keep going out, try to find a theme that I think would be interesting to try to tell a story about the different places I go on a photo walk, and then maybe over time, say, I don't know if it's going to be the end of summer or end of next summer. I don't know how long it's going to take, but I'd like to come away with a collection of images that tell a story about the places I go to when I'm on these walks. So, like this very dystopian kind of look at Alexandria, I thought was kind of interesting, and it just hit me yesterday. I was looking, and I'm like, this place is normally bustling, right, with people and cars and everything, and it just felt so barren, hardly anybody out. Uh, which I just couldn't believe. Oh, okay, a couple of more pictures came up. Here's the power plant that they're going to tear down eventually. You can see nobody there, and some train tracks that are just the grass is growing over. So I think I'm starting to feel a little bit of a theme here that I can work on as a project, is to maybe just document, like, look at this. This is a totally different office building. Um, Empty. I mean, there's probably people inside. I can see some lights, but the street, just nothing going on. There's one dude sitting right here, actually. One person, probably having a cigarette or something. Uh, here's the Potomac River. No boats, nothing in the water. Just quiet as can be. Nothing happening. It almost feels like we're on lockdown again. You know, uh, benches are empty. There, I did catch the plane. The airport is still, thriving. So there's plenty of airplanes going over. Or not for that, I think, I was the last man on earth. It was just that quiet. I mean, clearly the heat had a lot to do with it. I mean, it was like, I think there was a heat index of 107 degrees Fahrenheit. And Ellie suffered a little bit. Luckily, it was a very short walk, but I had to take a lot of breaks with Ellie with me. We'd go under a tree where the shade was, and it was nice and cool, and she would lay down there for about 5 minutes, and then we'd get up and get going again. Today, she would love it. I'll probably go out again today. Oh, but I'm feeling a theme. It's helping. All the tips and comments and suggestions people gave me are sinking in now. And I look at my notes every day and I think about the photo walk, and I'll say to myself, did I try to do this? Did I try to do that? And if not, then when I go out again the next time, I will try and take the time or effort to do whatever it is in my notes. Uh, and again, it's something that may take a long time before I can actually come up with images more consistently that I really like. I mean, I use the term getting that epic image, and I get it. That's a pretty high bar to come up with an epic image, and maybe 1 in 10,000 shots might be epic. That ratio is pretty rough. But I don't even need to get that epic image so much as I would just like to start seeing some difference in my images, something that I can say to myself, I'm proud of this image. I did a good job here. It's not enough to just get a bunch of likes and comments about how great my images are if I don't feel it, right? If I don't see it. And because I get it, a lot of images, like in a split second, I can come up with a composition and lighting and settings and everything because I've just been doing it long enough. And I've been doing it that long overall. Like 9 years is all I've been shooting with any seriousness. But I can come up pretty quickly with everything I need to do to get a shot, particularly if it's just an informational shot. And that's why like commercial real estate and that kind of photography suits me very well, because those images are all about capturing information for the buyer, right? Like, where does this room lead to? Where are the stairs? How many bathrooms? What's in the bathroom? How can I reconfigure this area? These kind of things I'm very good at, but they're very boring, right? They're just informational shots. You can't really get very creative or have a style when it comes to doing real estate or commercial photography. Now, certainly there are people with styles that are sought after, right, in the industry. Like there's this one guy, I forget his name, but it's very interesting. He did residential real estate, and his images were all natural light. He would go during the day, turn off all the lights in the house, and that's how he took his pictures. No flash, no artificial lighting, just natural lighting in the house. And he was sought after specifically because his images had a very soft kind of natural feeling to them about the property that somebody like myself would do a very different job. The kind of pictures I take of a property are very technical in nature, very informational, and the exposures are balanced, the colors are accurate. I do my best to do all of these things, but this guy, he does the fundamental things. Get your lines straight, make sure you convey information that a buyer would need to make a decision. But at the same time, he took images that were very artistic in a way, or had a very artistic feel to them because of this natural lighting only type scenario. And I'd love to see how he would do a smaller property, because he's just doing all high-end properties with skylights and windows. And I think he's in California, where you have beautiful weather all the time. But so the work that I do generally, though, those are the exceptions. But I just wanted to note that you can have a style that people look where you're sought after for your style, even in the most dry type of photography there is, real estate, commercial photography. It's very dry and boring in a sense, because all the images are the same. You get your lines straight, get your colors right, and convey the information a buyer needs. And no doubt, there's beautiful properties that make the images look beautiful, but they're not anything special. Anybody with the right skill set could take that image, right? But there are people that have a certain style, and that's, I don't want to say I'm trying to find my style. I mean, I'm just trying to take an image that I like, that I can look at and say, I think I did a good job, because I showed you one last week that I really liked. It wasn't a huge hit on Instagram or anything, but I really liked it. Like heck, I'm going to close this other thing. Like here's one. This is not mine. I don't normally like to show other people's stuff on my chat. How do I get back to that screen? Dumbass, where is it? Yeah. So I'm sure a lot of you guys know William Eggleston. I guess Eggleston. Hopefully I'm not pronouncing his name wrong. But this image here is kind of normal, right? You look at it, but for whatever reason, this image I find really appealing. I put this I put this image at a very high level. It's the colors he's using, the composition is balanced, but it's not following any particular rule of composition, right? That I can see. Maybe a leading line, but the lines don't lead to anywhere, so I wouldn't call it that. But I need to take a break real quick. I'll be right back. I need to check. Hold on, I'll be right back. Oops, sorry. I didn't mean to do that. I meant to do this. All right, I'm sorry about that. Where's my glasses? So this is what I'm saying is I guarantee when he took this shot, maybe if this were to go on Instagram today, it wouldn't get too much attention, right? Replacing sort of the stuff from the 50s or whenever this was taken, the 60s, it looks like, with more modern cars and things, so you couldn't place the timing, right? But I like this one. See, Marco says it does nothing for him. And but to me, I feel like I wouldn't say this is epic, but I really like this picture, and this is where I go out and I take a picture like this, and I'm not happy. But if I took this picture, I would have been very, very happy if this were my image. I mean, there's just little. Let me see if I can. Like, there's a couple of guys sitting here. There's lots of good information in here, right? You got all the names on the signs. And then you got these interesting elements. There's a couple of guys sitting here. There's a rusty old car on top of the building. Esso, I guess that's a gas station. So maybe there's gas pumps back here. So for me, this is an easy shot for me because this is what I'm good at, conveying information when I go out and take a picture. But this picture here, I think it's the color and just the overall balance of the composition is what makes it a winning image for me. And I don't know. I'm gonna have to study the images that I really like. Because part of the problem is I don't know what it is I really like about an image yet. I'll look at an image and I'll say, "Wow, I really like that," but I don't analyze why do I like that. And that's what I need to do more of is look at other people's work and try to appreciate what they're doing and why do I like it, right? And then maybe I can start to figure out what it is I like when I go out and shoot about whatever scene I'm looking at. That was one. I'll show you another one if I can find it. Uh, this one. This is another William Eggleston, right? Again, it's a high information shot, right? We got 50 cent Coke, so that kind of dates it right there. But there's all kinds of information in this picture. Well, I guess that's pretty much it. Uh, these are the kind of things I'm good at, taking informational pictures like this, but getting the colors and the composition and everything like Eggleston did, William Eggleston did here. This is very difficult for me. This will be another image I'd have been really happy with. And again, I get it. It's not going to be big on social media, and that's fine. But I find this image really fascinating. I don't know why, and that's what I need to do is study that. Let me go to. Did I have any other examples here? No, I didn't. I didn't put anything else. I showed you guys one last week. So these are just from my photo walks the last few days. I thought this island one came out nice. This to me is a nice picture, but again, it's not something. It's something I could have taken 10 years ago, and something anybody that has any skill at all could take. Right? Just even the most basic beginner person could have took this shot. And it's pretty much straight out of camera. I just added a little bit of warmth to the image. Where is this image here? This is one I took. This is, I like this image. Now I know it's, at first when I took it and I looked at it, I thought it was crap, right? But when I look at this image, I really like the tension that you can see here between the dog walker and the dog, right? The dog is going off in the direction over here, looking for things to smell, things that a dog does, right? And then the lady here over here is looking at the table over here for shopping and things that she's interested in. So I thought it was a good representation of sort of this I don't know if juxtaposition is the right word or not, but the difference between man and his dog. We as human beings and members of society have a very different interest in what we see when we go out for a walk versus what a dog sees and they're out for a walk. And that's what them splitting apart to me was kind of telling the whole story there. The dog wants to go off and do dog things. The person wants to go off and do person things. I'm not explaining it well, but to me, that's what the story is here. And then, of course, the face mask, right, dates the image a little bit. I took this about a year ago. And then there's information, little bits of information all around in the image that if you really look closely, like if you're looking at a print, you would see other information there that would keep your interest if you like the picture to begin with. But I thought this was a good. So this was like one of those shots that I get lucky though, right? That when I saw this person walking with the dog, I didn't think about at all the things I just told you, right? I took the picture because I was trying to do a street shot and I saw a person with a dog and I'm like, okay, that might be an interesting shot. But when I took the picture, they separated, right? The dog darted off to the left right when I took the picture. And then suddenly this story develops, right? That I'm looking at this and I'm like, now there's a story. Now this is interesting. And this is what I mean by capturing the kind of images that I really like, that I want, that, that I want, that I like, that I took. So I don't know. Oh, hey Lynn, how are you? You didn't want to mow the grass? Yeah. It'll be cooler in a couple days. Mow it then. Like Saturday morning, supposed to be really cool. Uh let me see if there's anything else in here real quick. This is a boring shot. Just heavy equipment at the marina. But I thought the lighting was remotely interesting. Oh, this is junk. Yeah. This is kind of cool. This is the guy I talked about. I don't know if you guys were here in that stream, but I told you he let me hold his Sony A1 and his 600 millimeter f4, like $20,000 in gear, just right here. That's just insane, and it's probably another $500 or $600 minimum on the tripod. But yeah, I held that in my hands. But that's him. Oh gosh, there was one more I wanted to show you. It's probably in this other folder under old stuff. Yeah, I showed you this one last week. Something, it wasn't this one, but it was something like this. This is kind of an interesting shot. But I'll show you one more that I really liked. There's actually a pair of images. Yeah, here they are. Now I believe this is straight out of camera JPEG. I just applied like a vintage filter or something. I like this shot a lot. And it was a very spur of the moment type shot. Just got lucky. Meaning I'm lucky that I got a shot that I like. But again, lots of information here. There's boards up here with prices for stuff. Clearly, this is a diner, and we're having breakfast. And then I got a shot of the menu with a fork there. I kind of like this one more because it's about the information about what we had for breakfast that morning. I went with Walter and Dave and David Crooks. This was a different little photo walk that we went out on our way to take pictures of eagles. But of all the shots I took that day, I took a bunch of eagle shots, which were pretty epic in terms of taking an eagle shot, right? This is the one I like the most, believe it or not. So anyhow, and there's the ice cream. Kind of interesting. Let me show you. Yeah, those are the eagle shots I took that day. These came out really good. Okay, so that's enough of that. That's enough about me and my problems. Let's see what you guys are talking about. If you happen to be standing on the path and turned around to take a shot, it would look exactly the same. And that's what I wonder about a lot of Eggleston's pictures, right? Were they just very lucky, spur of the moment, or did he go back to that spot all the time? Or I don't know, do you visualize a scene and then wait for it to happen? I mean, a lot of his photography looks very opportunistic, right? Like he just happened to be there at the right place at the right time to get those shots. Uh, so I'm definitely gonna have to study it more and see what it is that I like about those images, regardless of how he captured them. I want to know what it is I like about them first, and then start to see how would you I would take a picture like that, right? Anyway, um, but yeah, a lot of his pictures seem very opportunistic, and the photo's like a time capsule. So yeah, that's the other question I have is if we take away that nostalgia effect, right? The photo is like a time capsule of Americana. If you take away that nostalgia effect and do it in modern day, would it have that same impact on me? Would I like the picture as much? And I think I would, because like I said, the overall color that he used in the composition of where things are, I mean, I don't think it would have mattered that it was taken in the 1960s or in the 2020s. I would have probably still liked the picture a lot, even if you couldn't date it. But I have to capture that. But I do try to separate nostalgia of an image from what the image is and why I like it. I mean, you can like an image just because it's nostalgic, but I try to separate that because obviously I can't take a nostalgic image. It won't be for another 30, 40 years at least. Yeah, knowing what to leave out, right? Um, yeah, anything that doesn't add to the story that you're trying to tell, that's the generic answer. It's very easy to do when someone takes a picture and I look at it. I can say, well, this doesn't add anything. This doesn't help. This is distracting. You know what I mean? But when you're in the field and you're about to take a picture of a scene, it's not so simple, right? Um, so you have to go out and practice a lot, basically. And Marcia says, I'm looking at the Esso and Schlitz signs. Yeah, takes you way back. I bet it does. I can't remember the last time I've seen an Esso or Esso. I think Schlitz I've seen, but not Esso. Yeah, cloudy, moody skies. Uh, so Stephen Long says, I find that sunny weather isn't always the best for photography. It really depends on the image you want. Cloudy and moody skies can give a different type of light. Yeah. And a lot of the images I took yesterday were, midday, full sun. I was a little sad actually because uh, let me go back to that page so you guys know what I'm talking about. But like here's this picture, right? These are the ones from yesterday. It's midday, beautiful day, but it's like 107-degree heat index. I think it was 90 something actual ambient temperature, but it's, with the humidity and everything, it felt like over 100. Uh, all the same, I I like these images to an extent. I mean, because I'm capturing like this image here. It's I think the color, and I took this with my Fuji. I'm gonna have to take my Fuji out more. I really like the colors that came out. This is the standard Provia setting. I really like the colors that this projected. Uh, I mean, they're not too different than my Olympus puts out, but there's something just a little bit different. I can't put my finger on it. I think it's in the red tones somewhere. The bricks and the smokestacks or whatever these are, and these rusty train track things. Something about these particular colors, because the greens and blues look pretty much Olympus. Like very close to what my Pen Fs do. But the colors in here, these reds, maybe the green over here, there's something a little bit different about it. But anyhow, I wish I could be more productive for you guys and tell you guys more. Yeah, try to. Yeah, we need to go out and party. That's so true. I haven't been out to party in years and years. You're streaming now. No, it was very spur of the moment because this morning I had to go take Ellie to the vet for her shots. Oh my god, that set me back almost $600 today. I mean, granted, it's all the, she had like 4 different shots and then plus the flea and tick and heartworm medicine for 1 year, 6 months and 1 year. It's like unbelievable how expensive things are. Thank God I only have one dog. So I have to spread that $600 out over 3 years. So she's costing me a couple $100 a year plus food, basically. She's worth it though. J Train says the photo of the woman. Have you tried to put in dramatic black and white? High contrast would work great. Yes, I did. Actually, that's what I posted onto my Instagram. I posted that image on Instagram as a black and white. But I redid it as a color. Recently, I looked at it as a color image again because I've been looking at Sal Leader and William Eggleston images, who are basically known as colorists, right? Color photo photographers. So I redid it back in color to see if I like the colors and if those colors balance, because I really like how the color palettes of the images that they're taking as well. It's it's a standard technique. You use a limited color palette. But how do I see limited color palettes when I'm in the field, right? So I have to practice basically. Yeah, most have a human story. And that's true, but that's what I liked about William Eggleston is a lot of his images didn't have really people in them. Some of them were just inanimate, right? And I really like those images. But ultimately, yeah, I think the human story is critical in a lot of work that I've seen. I mean, including William Eggleston, right? He had a lot of photos with people in them that were interesting, you know. Uh, and what I understand is he took a lot of the pictures in his own hometown, so they were probably familiar with him and comfortable with him to a certain degree as well. But we'll see. That I think I could probably get away with a little bit more people photography here. I went somewhere recently that I felt a little more comfortable if I were to get pictures of people in it, but I didn't. I didn't do it because I've just had, like the last photo job I had. It was early last month. It's been a while since I've had a real job, but I'm just standing out on the street taking a picture of the exterior of the building, and right next door, uh, it's basically in Alexandria, so everything are condos, row houses, right? But a lot of the row houses were converted into businesses, and that's what I was taking a picture of, was the business. And but the house next door was not a business. It was a residence. It's kind of weird. But the guy comes outside and he's not rude or impolite or anything, but he comes out deliberately to ask me what I'm doing. Do I work for this? I kind of get barraged with a few questions, and I had to explain myself that I'm here taking pictures of this property next to you. I'm not taking pictures of your house. I'm taking pictures of the business next to your house. And he's totally fine with it, right? No big deal. But uh, when people see you with a camera, and this happens all the time when I'm out with my camera, even on my regular photo jobs. People are like, "Can I help you? What are you doing here?" You know what I mean? Uh, and I don't mind that because usually I'm fine, right? And usually the other person is fine, except for this one case with these three women ganged up on me. But yeah, usually I'm fine. But it makes me wonder, like for street photographers that go out and just take pictures of people, if they did it in this area, what would happen? If they were very intentional about taking people's picture. Because when I go out, I'm never intentionally taking people's pictures, right? My intent is take picture of the property. And if they happen to be in the path and if it's a busy street, like this was on King Street in Alexandria, this property, it's very busy. There's people all the time, except for yesterday. Yesterday was empty. But yeah, people pictures is definitely an area I might try to expand on because I don't have enough images of people really. Yeah, Robin Wong, he does a good job. He's a good photographer. He has a natural eye for things, right? Where he lives. Um, but I wonder if you take him out of his element, like brought him here to this area, I guarantee he would struggle a bit, right? Because and that's why photographers, they go back to the same spot over and over again. You sort of get a familiarity with the space, the conditions, the lighting, the environment, if there's any people. You start to get a sense of the place, and then you can start to get a sense of what kind of image or feeling or mood that you want to capture for this particular space. But if we take and that would be an interesting experiment, if we took Robin Wong out of his own environment there in Malaysia and brought him here, say in the wintertime, no question he'll take great pictures, but will they be pictures that he himself likes or personally likes? You know what I mean? It'd be curious. The gold shots get expensive, right? um, oh, you're checking the Insta to find the black and white. It's in there somewhere. You have to go back. Let me. Uh, there's no way I'm going to be able to help you find that J train. Uh, and Drew says, I don't like to do street in developed countries. Everyone is so on edge and gives me the stink eye. Yeah, the stink eye. Tell me about it. As if, but people in developing countries and rural places are more friendly and will smile. Um, yeah, that's how they get you, though, right? They lead you in, and then suddenly you're being held hostage for ransom. I know I can put a negative spin on anything. Trust me. I need to let the 3-woman episode go. I have, but it's the little things every time I go out, like on a paid photo job in a busy area, and people are a little bit anxious about that sometimes. And if it was all in my head, nobody would approach me. But I get approached, I'd say half the time when I'm doing a photo job and I'm out in the street doing images, I get approached about 50% of the time. What am I doing here? What am I taking pictures? You know what I mean? As if it's just any of their business. I mean, I get it. The one guy lived right next door, so it kind of might have looked like I was taking pictures of his property when I wasn't. Mm. I don't know what Vero is. And Barry's here. Good to see you. Uh, so that was that. I'll show you another picture I kind of like that's very, very recent. This one here, it's not epic by any means, right? But this was something I've never done before, really. Uh, I like this picture because, there's the moon right here, and the flowers themselves were just totally underexposed. If I were just to take an ambient light shot, this would not have come out. So I used a flash to illuminate the flowers, and then I added a cool tone to the white balance to kind of give it that moonlight kind of look. So these are flowers under the moonlight. And these are the kind of shots that are very teachable, right? And are kind of nice, I think. And so this was a shot I kind of liked because it's something I've done kind of before in the past, where you play with white balance a little bit to kind of get a different look or feel to your image. But this one was very spur of the moment for me, and I liked it. One last one. Nah, everything else is pretty mediocre. Nothing here, none of these. Typical bird shots. I mean, these are very opportunistic type shots, right? A blue heron catching a fish. That's just the nature of wildlife. No pun intended. The nature of wildlife photography. This was a city shot. The Coast Guard in Baltimore. I'll never go back to Baltimore again, but this was a good shot. I took this in 2016. Yeah, 2016. So I took this picture 6 years ago with my Sony NEX. And it came out okay. But that's what I mean. It's like, what's this image here? This image is also 2016. I feel like if I went back to the same spot, I just wouldn't get any different image. My skill set hasn't really changed much, and my eye for a scene hasn't changed that much. I would probably take the same exact shot, and that's my problem. Like this one, 2017, so 5 years ago. If I were to go back here, I'd probably take the same exact shot. And that's what I mean by plateauing. I've been in this plateau for 5 or 6 years, but I haven't really thought about it until now, because for the last 5 years I've been doing this YouTube thing, and that's been distracting me from my photography in one sense, right? Is doing these YouTube videos and things. But now that I don't know, somehow I've just it's been 5 years, I'm looking at my images and I'm like, man, you gotta do better. Something's not good here. And that's the nature of inanimate photography, right? Yeah. Considering the challenges of flying a drone where you live, do you have a drone? I do have a drone. Too bad you have to go on a drive to fly it. Yeah. I should try and use it. I mean, I've had it for at least 3 years, maybe 4, and it's never been off my property. I've only flown it inside my house a couple times, and that was it. I doubt the batteries are even any good anymore. It's kind of a shame. Overo is similar to Instagram. Okay. I'll check it out. Why not? I don't know what it is. Um, yeah, but I don't know. I don't want to, there's a lot of street photography with people in it that I don't find that interesting. The expressions are interesting and how they're dressed, how they're made up. A lot of things are kind of interesting to me, but they're it's hard for me to see myself doing that. You know what I mean? And getting good shots. I'll have to look at some good street photography shots that I really like. I mean, somebody recommended like Fan Ho, and to me, Fan Ho's okay. Certainly very, excellent shots, right? But it's been copied to death so much at this point, um, by other wannabe street photographers that when I look at Fan Ho's, the impact and the power that his images had have been diluted so much. And I would say that's true for a lot of the greats in the past, because everyone studies their images and tries to duplicate what they're doing, and copying what other people do is fine, as a learning tool for yourself, right? But the problem is that Instagram and Facebook and all the social media, they've diluted, I think, the impact that these previous photographers um work, right? It's diluted their work to the point that when I see images, even from the great photographers, I'm looking at it through that prism of Instagram and Facebook and whatever else, Flickr, right? I'm looking at it through that prism, and seeing a lot of people that have done similar things, but they're just copying the greats, right? So the work's been diluted. So I try to filter that out. I try to filter out the nostalgia portion, and I try to really look at what it is I like about that image. And oh, the phone is ringing. But anyhow, um, so I don't know what I can do by taking pictures of people that would be different than what's been done a million times. And that's always the challenge with a lot of photography is it's been done. Everything that can be taken has been taken. But at the same time, that's perfectly fine. If I take a picture that I like, I guarantee the pictures I showed you that I personally like that I took, right? I guarantee that somebody will find and say that work is derivative of X, this person, right? They'll say that picture is very derivative of the work that was done by this person. Uh, and maybe it wasn't my direct intent to be derivative of some other photographer. Maybe I've never seen their work before, or maybe subconsciously I've seen it somewhere and it's now remained in my subconscious all this time. And then I take the picture and don't realize that I'm actually being derivative of someone else's work. But ultimately, I want to look at the image and say, I like it. A picture that I took and say that I like it. Like that picture of that lady and her dog. That to me is one of my, one of my favorite. I don't know how many, I don't want to say top 10, but it's one of my favorite images that I've ever taken. Just like that little diner. Uh, it's one of my favorite images. I don't think that diner image would make the top 10, but that lady with the dog, that would definitely make a top 10 for me, if not very close to a top 10 of all my images. And it's okay if it's derivative. Like I said, I just have to like it and see. Now, when I want to start to develop my own style and not be so derivative, I mean, you can be derivative and expand on someone else's idea. That's been done a lot too, right? People have copied other people's work, but then made it their own somehow, right? Uh, that would be kind of neat to come up with a style that doesn't necessarily have to be 100% my own, but make it my own by doing something different and finding, it's the old adage, you take a picture of something that's very common, but in a way that nobody else has ever seen before, right? How do you do that? That takes time, right? It takes time and patience and practice, maybe a little bit of luck, planning, all kinds. I got all my notes here. We'll see over time. I mean, don't look at the image if you guys follow me on Instagram or Flickr, don't look at those images as like I'm putting the very best that I have out there. I'm just putting literally something. If I went out and shot that day, I'm going to put something on Instagram of what I shot that day 99% of the time. And they're not going to be epic necessarily. They're just images that I like that I took that day. And I include the settings usually so that you can look at it as a educational thing, but also I use it to look at my own images wherever I am because now they're online, right? Um, yeah, street carnivals. That's true. Um, there was a carnival last week that I almost went to. Uh, but I've done a street carnival before, and I didn't want to go all the way out there because it was about an hour away from me. Pay another $10 to get in. The parking was $10. Because the carnivals, I feel like if I could go with like, I don't know, I feel weird going by myself. If I could bring a couple people with me, maybe. But I would feel kind of weird going by myself to take pictures of people at a carnival. It just doesn't feel right to me. Oh, John Truman's in the house. How's it going? And then Dave says there are two main reasons to watch your live stream: to see what's going on with you and interact with others interested in it. Both are equally important. Yeah, I think so. I mean, take inspiration from me. I'm mediocre but love my street. That's cool. That's cool. And then, like I said, the ridiculous images I posted the last couple of days, I actually kind of like them. Um, I don't know why these are sorted backwards. But yeah, I like this image. It's nothing epic, but I like it. You know? Uh, this is okay. It's just some flowers in this, I don't know, weird tree. This is pretty pathetic. I hate this picture. Ugh. I posted it anyway, even though I don't like it. I don't like this image either. But I thought it would be interesting for people that have never been to Alexandria before to see this and say, "This is in Alexandria? Where is this? That's weird." Right? Why are there fake ruins under this water. And this was interesting because what I think are I think these buildings are occupied, but they look abandoned. And this is a simple geometry shot, more geometry. But yeah, those are the shots I took yesterday. They have a little scarecrow up here. This is interesting. I at first I thought maybe the intent was for art, right? Just to kind of have something there. But I think actually they do put it up there to scare the birds away. So to me, it's a modern day scarecrow because there's a lot of crows around this area. Dragonfly flowers, yada yada. So okay. Yes, I agree with that, Dave. So I got all my cameras here on my desk because I'm trying to. Let me see if I can show you. I'm trying to get out and shoot with them. So yesterday I took out my Fuji, so I'm going to take this out for another couple of walks, and then let me focus. And the S5 I took out last week or the week before quite a bit. The Pen F I've been taking out all of last week and some of this week, but I have this Canon here that I haven't taken out at all. I don't think I have any photo walks with this camera. This is a Canon M50. And of course, the OM1 I've taken out a lot, but this has been mostly for birding, right? So I'm going to go, and then of course, the Hassie. Oh, yeah. Look at this Hassie kind of dwarfs all these other cameras, right? Based on, I mean, I know the perspective's different, but this thing just dwarfs everything. So when you look at my Instagram, you'll see the last 5 or 6 images were all from the Fuji. And I thought the colors were interesting. So I'm going to take out the Canon maybe next and see how the colors are. It'll be interesting to see the differences in the color science, right? Because I know exactly what to expect with Olympus. So when I see the images on my computer from Olympus, I have a pretty good feel of what the colors are going to be. And although it's very, very subtle, each camera does have a little bit different color science, right? It's very subtle. And a simple shift in tint or light balance, you'd never know what camera took what. But yeah, so it's kind of fun in that respect. It's making my photo walks a little more fun and interesting by using a different camera when I go out. But ultimately, I want to improve or start taking images that I actually like and are not bored to tears with. I'm just so bored with my own images. That's the problem. And that's why I'm taking out different gear, because gear ultimately is half the fun, right? Playing with all the different features and functions that each camera has to offer. It gives you a little different experience every time you go out. I mean, that's half of it for me. So like I said, I'm not lacking enthusiasm. I'm not having fun. I'm definitely having fun, but I'm just a little bored with my own images, I guess. And I'd like to start taking images that I find exciting and new and interesting. All right. Druid says going to buy an XE4, got gas bad, and the OM1 is still not available. If you can get it cheap, I mean, I think the I don't know if you like the rangefinder style, the XE2, XE3, XE4, all of them are fine. The XE4 has the newer sensor and everything, right? But if you just want like that Fuji color kind of thing, you can probably go XE2 or XE3 and be fine in terms of getting that Fuji look. But XE4, you're a little bit more serious, right? That has a lot of new features, costs a little more, and has better autofocus. It has a lot going for it. If you can get I don't know what they're going for now, but if you can get it pretty cheap, why not? It's a nice compact little camera. Oh, the XE4 and the Z5. I don't know about the Z5. I'm sure it's fine. I like my S5. You can get these pretty cheap now. I think like $1,100 or something on eBay. And I don't know I know the Nikon glass is really expensive. I'm not going to say. I'm not going to say anything bad about the Z5 because I don't know anything about it. But I know this S5 with a 50 millimeter f1.8. Oh my God, the images I get out of this are simply stunning in terms of image quality. Just stunning. And even brand new with a lens, I think it's like $2,000. It'll come with a 20 to 60 zoom lens. Just add on a 50 millimeter. It's amazing. If you want to stay under $1,500, like with a Z5 or something, you'd have to get the S5 used. But yeah, I'm sure any full frame camera will be fine. The Z5, I just don't think they have enough. They don't have any really super affordable lenses. Like, I think they do have a 51.8 also that's pretty cheap, but how good is it? I don't know. I can only tell you what I know. And this is really freaking amazing. I mean, I thought, the 25 f1.8 on my Pen F took amazing shots in terms of just pure image quality, right? It barely holds a candle to what this can do. It's amazing. And I'm not putting down the Pen F or Micro Four Thirds at all. But yeah, full frame is full frame. That's just the way it is. And I could probably put two images up, and it would be virtually impossible to tell the difference between the two. On an average day-to-day basis, photo for photo, it's going to be very difficult to tell. But there are shots that I took with that Panasonic S5 that I thought were just incredible, and I don't think I would have been able to do the same with my Pen F or my Olympus camera. And I'm just talking about technical quality. The images sucked. Okay, I mean, as a picture goes, they sucked, but yeah, Lysippus, it is amazing. I mean, the kind of images you can get with the software now at killing the noise, cleaning up the noise in the image, and then sharpening the details is pretty amazing what can be done. And that's what I mean. If I process the images out of my out of a Olympus camera, right, and this S5, it's not until you get well over 6400 ISO that you can really see a big difference. Even if and I'm talking about processing both at the same time. If I process the S5 images with Topaz, I use DxO, and I process this with DxO, and you put the images side by side. It's not until you start getting into the upper ISOs that you really can see any difference between the two in terms of noise. But yeah, I I love the S5 for photography. It's amazing, and I did like it for video a lot too. And Barry says, I have a Canon 700D, which belonged to my late brother-in-law. I'm sorry to hear that. Basic starter DSLR, I suppose, but we'll compare it with my EM10 Mark III. That'll be interesting. I mean, a lot of these camera comparisons, it's all academic, right? But it's still fun. Yeah, the used market in India is bad. Let me tell you, it's very hard to find Olympus in India. It's not a popular camera over there. Yeah, the only attraction is the full frame. Yep, I agree. But okay, I need to call it. Um, my voice is getting a little scratchy. I've had a little bit of a sore throat the last couple days. Not really sore, but just a little dry. I don't know why. So thanks for everyone coming in today and bearing with me another live stream. Hopefully, I made it interesting to some degree, and just sharing it with my own frustrations. But uh, it's always good to be able to talk to somebody, right? Because who else am I going to talk to sometimes other than you guys? So it's great. I'm really happy you were here, and I'll try and be a little more upbeat this Sunday, and a little more positive and talk about more fun things. But in the meantime, you guys have a great weekend. We will see you again on Sunday. Thanks for coming in today.